Hi, my name is Paul Sargent, and welcome to my series on American government. Today we're going to take a look at a bureaucracy. Now, one of the hardest concepts in any American government course, or maybe any government course, is the idea of what a bureaucracy is. And so in today's episode, we're going to take a look at what a bureaucracy is and what it should be and why we often talk so badly about a bureaucracy and the bureaucrats that run it. Now, in order to understand what a bureaucracy is, you have to understand this fact. A government has a lot of things to do. And the way our government is set up, it's divided into three different branches. The legislative branch that makes the laws, the executive branch that carries out the laws, and then the judicial branch that interprets those laws and determines guilt and all of that. Well, the executive branch, mainly being the president and the vice president inside of the Constitution, is obviously not that big if that's all you have. And so they have to carry out all of the laws that are passed by Congress, that have ever been passed by Congress, and that takes a lot of work. Well, what do? You hire people to do the work. That is the bureaucracy. And in the simplest terms, you can describe our bureaucracy as, and this is not an exact definition, but it's a pretty good one, as pretty much any person that works for the federal government and hasn't been elected. There are some exceptions to that, congressional staffers and things like that, but for the most part, the bureaucracy is people who work for the government and haven't been elected. So why do we need a bureaucracy? Well, there's so much work that has to be done. Taxes have to be collected, meat has to be inspected, national parks have to be run, the Postal Service has to deliver letters. We've got so many different things going on that are run by the federal government that you need an effective organization in order to do it. And it needs to be divided up and organized in a way that will work efficiently and as best as possible. Well, this is where most political science courses get into the ideas of a guy named Max Weber, or Weber if you want to go with the German pronunciation of this, who put forth the ideal organization of a bureaucracy. And he basically said this: a bureaucracy needs to be hierarchical. In other words, decisions need to come from the top, they need to make their way down, people need to, follow orders and do their part so that the whole thing can work. Also, it needs to be staffed by people who have great expertise in the field and in the job in which they're working. You don't obviously want people who are inexperienced working in this. He also said that specialization is super important. So people should be in specialized roles where they can get a lot of expertise on a very specific topic, and they should use that expertise in order to create rules that further clarify laws, which can oftentimes be vague and not all that specific and kind of tough to enforce the way they're written. That's the idea of a bureaucracy. Now, most people have a negative view of bureaucrats. And in fact, if you've watched any of the presidential debates from the 2016 season, you'll see that the bureaucracy and the bureaucrats are sort of scapegoats. Everybody is talking about this huge bureaucracy, this overwhelming mass of stuff that's unnecessary and not getting things done. It's an easy target because people don't tend to understand it very well. But the reality is that a bureaucracy is essential to carrying out the functions of government. Now, finally, we have to talk about this idea of the merit principle, okay? People should be hired based on their ability to do their job. In the past, in the United States, this was not always the case. In fact, in the presidency of Andrew Jackson, the spoils system, as it has come to be known, was a more prevalent way of doing things. And the spoils system simply meant that if you were friends of, related to, if you donated to, or worked hard for a candidate who won the presidency, then you could be relatively assured of getting a nice, high-paid government job that you may not be qualified for, but would provide job security and a good income for your family. And that's not how the merit principle works, because you get a lot of people in office who make bad decisions because they don't have the information or the experience to be able to make the decisions they need to make if they would have experience in the things that they need to be experienced in. So today, and we'll talk about in a future episode how we got here, today we work off of the merit principle, where at least theoretically, most of the people who have jobs in the government have them because they have the necessary background, knowledge, and experience in order to carry those jobs out as best as possible. So therefore, we should have an efficient bureaucracy. Whether we do or not, well, that's a question for another time. So anyway, that's what a bureaucracy is. It's the people who work for the government and who make things happen, get the work of government done. They're unelected, they're hired to serve long careers that overlap many, many presidencies. These are the bureaucrats of the federal bureaucracy. And I hope that clears it up for you. So until next time, my name's Paul Sargent. Thanks for watching.